Hello, Mosaic Souls. So, I wanted to do a quick video on why I think I find it fascinating that we as humans have a tendency to harp on each other, especially in westernized modern societies that have access to cell phones and technology and all that good stuff. And why is it, like, especially entrepreneurial in a lot of different industries, there's this, because of the advent of social media, there's almost this expectation for a lot of people to be public, give me a second, to be public with certain things and have an online, you know, profile or online be visible. And one of the things that just kind of came to me as I was like watching this K drama is that every soul is divinely unique. Where, you know, internet famous or famous, or well known and all this stuff is really quite unnatural. Like being famous and being known by millions of people, or known in air quotes, or being known of, right? And by millions of people or thousands of people is really unnatural, right? Like that's to imagine, like, I think one of the reasons why anxiety, like I was talking about in the last video, one of the reasons why anxiety and mental health disorders and all this stuff is like coming to the surface, and people's shadow and all that stuff is becoming more predominant and prevalent, is because of technology. Like I don't think we're designed to be this connected to one another. And what I mean by that is the internet and always being tapped into things of that nature is just really unnatural, right? Like when I think about the Akashic records, right, on a spiritual level, right, this is the place where you can know anything and everything out of the universe. But do you really want to know anything and everything in your human form? Not really. Like, you only came here for a specific time, season, and reason to do something, and then to be off this planet and doing something else, right? Off onto your next adventure, right? So if you think about it on a human level, being connected to the internet or being connected to thousands, or always being stimulated by videos and posts and likes and thumbs up and thumbs down and this and that is just really highly unnatural, right? And so, you know, I want to just encourage people who don't feel the desire to be public or to do, be a mosaic soul publicly, to embrace that. There's so much beauty to have a quiet, private, simple life. You know what I mean? Like that actually is more normal than having this sort of online life. You know what I mean? It's very, and one of the reasons why so many of us are desperate for connection is because with the advent of the internet, because you can be connected all the time, people forget how to freaking communicate. They don't know how to talk to each other anymore because everything's emojis and short phrases and, non-explanations, and like the form of communication that's happening now is becoming dumbed down. Even though we have technology and we have more hand. Okay, sorry, my camera is disconnected from the internet for some reason, making sure that I am still connected. Okay, so even though technology is at the palm of our hands and we have education at the palm of our hands with the advent of the internet, communication for some reason is being really harped on. Like it's becoming a point of suffering for a lot of people, right? People don't know how to communicate, they don't know how to connect, they don't know how to create intimacy, they lack the ability to have the desire to connect because they're overly stimulated all the time. And so I find this to be very concerning in a lot of reasons, in a lot of ways, because especially this younger generation, but just even the older generation, everybody's suffering from lack of communication and ability to communicate healthily in an open and honest way, right? And to know how to, create that connection, right? So that's one. But two, like the whole being online and being overly stimulated, I find that it's so necessary to learn how to get offline, how to not tap in. I think I've, for me personally, I'm going to be I've thought about implementing like a new thing for myself where I just only go online once or twice a week, right? Just or whenever I need to post something and then not even interact on social media anymore. Personally, I don't know. I've been weighing up this option for a while, but and I'm not even like addicted to social media as I know other people are. Like when I travel or go other places, I notice how like if just go to an airport, a modern day airport, and you will find that almost 90, if not more, percent of the people who are sitting down waiting for their planes are on their phones. From the child all the way up to the parents, right? Or the grandparents, right? Everybody's on their phone, right? No one's communicating, just barely. No one's connecting and creating that connection. We're all overly stimulated by these devices. And so I find it interesting that it's almost the normal has become non normal because. Give me a second, I just got a fun text message. But, anyways, the normal has become non normal because of technology. Now there's this expectation in our society that you should want to be connected all the time. You don't have a cell phone? Oh my god. Like it's something that I've been actually thinking about myself is getting rid of my cell phone bill and just having like Wi-Fi and just having like a Wi-Fi connector and maybe like a burner phone or something. Because there's only like a handful of people that I talk to, and I don't talk to people every day. So I was like, why am I paying this money for this phone? I can put that money other places, but that's just my own personal exploration. Anyways, that's neither here nor there. My point of bringing this up was wanting a quiet, private, disconnected from technology type of life actually is more normal for our human selves than being tapped in to technology all the time, right? Being constantly stimulated, being constantly checking your phone, checking, social media, being watching videos, like that is just really unnormal. And no wonder why people are suffering with anxiety and suffering from panic attacks and overwhelm and feeling drained and this hustle and bustle society. I think there needs to be a return to nature because not only are we disconnected from ourselves in a deeper way, right? Like even though we have these devices that keep us connected all the time, we are actually very disconnected on a deeper level, like on a spiritual level. And it's so prevalent and predominant to me because sometimes I do rideshare or whatever, and I meet thousands of people doing that kind of stuff, and I can tell like just with over time generations like that level of connection that we're all longing for is being ripped away because we're allowing these devices and technological advances to take away our attention. Attention is currency, right? And if you I know so many people who can't even be house by themselves without freaking out, right? Like the pandemic was what happened in 2020 was a huge like wake up call for many of us because a lot of times, it really just drove more people to actually be online because of, being disconnected in the physical world. But that movement of moving from in person to person, face to face type contact, it actually created this schism where people are now just so overly dependent on their phones. They can't imagine life without their phones. I remember there was some study, I can't remember, in some book or podcast I heard where they did studies on teenagers and they gave them an ultimatum of whether or not they could have one part of their body part being injured or have their phone taken away from them. And like what was it, like 70% of the teenagers was like, I would prefer you to injure me than to take away my phone. And I was like, that's really sad that we're so addicted, right? These children are growing up completely addicted to social media, completely addicted to their to technology, that you can go outside and let's say who knows what's going to happen, right? Technology goes bust, right? Nobody knows how to go out into the forest and forage for themselves. No one knows the basic necessities of life or how to feed yourself or how to stay clean or eat. You know what I mean? And it's a lot of that just has to do with our modern things. And it's not to say that that's a bad thing not to know how to do those things. I think that's the luxury that modern technology gives us. But I think it's important for us to have balance and to stay connected to the earth, right? And so I just wanted to bring up this topic because it was bothering me about the whole communication thing, but I was getting to the root of it because I was like, what is going on, right? Like in this K drama that I watched, there's a scene where a sibling doesn't want to go do something, but the other sibling is forcing them to like get prepared for society, and you gotta enter into society to be a contributing member of society, right? To be more social, and the sibling didn't really want to be social. And I really believe that there are certain souls that came, a lot of souls that actually private life. They didn't really come here to connect with thousands and maybe they really just came to connect with two or three people at most, and to have those deeper connections and a quiet, private, life that wasn't displayed for the world to see. And I'm saying this in contrast to me because actually my soul is one that likes to shine and likes to be sort of what my ex used to call me, a exhibitionist, right? Like it's the artist in me that wants to say, hey, look at me, look what I can do. Like I've always been like that ever since I was a little girl, in a sense of like once I learned how to sing or once I could do something, I always wanted to show my parents or that was my way of kind of getting out of my shell, being able to stand on stage and sing in front of hundreds of people. But I think that's just a part of my artistry. But for other souls, not everybody's like that. Like a lot of people just want quiet, private lives. And like this whole drive to reach, like even though that would be something that I would love to achieve in my lifetime, I'm not dead set on it. Like I don't think that that's what makes you a successful human being, whether or not you reach a certain amount in your bank account. Like that to me does not denote whether or not you're a successful human being. Like to me that's like the furthest lowest on the totem pole. Like are you actually kind? Are you compassionate? Are you caring? Are you like those other things, that the value things that we're all craving from each other? Like those to me denote whether or not someone had a successful life, right? Me personally. So success, is all whatever you label it, but that's my version of success in my mind. So when people are so harping on other people, right? Like I've seen other YouTubers talk about, look, I'm not even trying to be a millionaire. I just want to make enough to sustain my life, right? Or I just want to, have a big enough audience, or reach my 100 true fans or 1,000 true fans, depending on what your art form is, and be good with that. Like, and to me that just looks like blank amount of year, right? For some people that's $30,000 a year or $25,000 a year. For other people that's $100,000 a year or $300,000 a year. Whatever, it doesn't matter, the number doesn't matter, but it's about creating your life around what is true for you and your soul. And I feel like we have to stop like projecting who we are and who our own soul unique blueprints are onto other people, right? Not everybody is like you, right? If you are someone who really is outgoing and loves to hang around a lot of people, and you really love to be in the company of other people and travel and do all this other things, but you have a friend who just really likes to be home, they don't like traveling, they barely like to leave their house, like, other than maybe for nature walks, they don't really like to leave their small town. Like that doesn't make them less of a human being because they want to live a quiet, private, simple life. You know what I mean? Like, I learned that growing up too, because I remember having friends like that who were like, I just want to live in my small town, really know my neighbors and be able to know pretty much everybody in town and just have a nice life. Like that's what I want. They didn't really want to travel. They didn't want to see the world. They didn't really want everyone to know their name. Like they didn't really want all that, recognition, or to be connected to social media like that. And I think that's a beautiful life. And I think we have to start to redefine, or at least add to the list of what success is, right? Because a lot of people were so programmed to think that you have to be connected all the time. And no wonder why people feel disconnected. People feel overly stimulated and overwhelmed and all anxiety and panic attacks and all this stuff because we're too fucking connected, excuse my language. So it's just like, we got to learn how to let go of this idea. I remember experiencing this. I'll tell this one little story. When I was younger, and I think I was probably like 12 or something at the time. And at the time, my mom had her godchildren and the mother they were living with us. Long story short, but I just remember there's this one moment in my life where that we were leaving for school early in the morning or whatever, and I think I was making like oatmeal for breakfast or whatever. But the way that I liked my oatmeal, I really like my oatmeal to be very soupy, like a lot of milk in my oatmeal. I don't really like it to be chunky, like, where you're kind of like eating the oats like that. I like my oatmeal to be very soupy. So my, I guess, god sister, you can call her that, was like, she was younger than me by like 2 or 3 years. And she's like, why would you make your oatmeal that way? That's not how you're supposed to make oatmeal. Oatmeal is supposed to be thick and da 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 da, right? And as she said that to me, I was like, yeah, that's one way to make oatmeal. That's not the only way to make oatmeal. Like, that's the way that you like your oatmeal because that's the way that your parents made you oatmeal. But I've always liked my oatmeal to be this way because that's the way I've always liked it. It doesn't mean that I'm wrong and you're right, or you're wrong and I'm right. It doesn't mean that. It just means that there's a different way to do things, right? And I think we need to open our concept of doing things on the planet. There's not one path. There's millions, billions of paths. There's as many souls as there are on the planet. You think that we would wake up to the fact that not everybody is here to live the same freaking life. Thank God, right? Like, because clearly greed is way too much on the planet. So if everybody was like built that way, like there would not be balance, right? So, and we're already struggling with balance, and that's a whole nother topic. But I just wanted to talk about, like having or desiring a quiet private life where you're not connected to social media or you're not being well known or you don't want to build a big business or whatever is perfectly fine. And I think to honor that and to know that you're not wrong, like if you've ever felt like, oh, I'm not successful in life because I haven't achieved XYZ, or I don't have XYZ like this person or this person, da, da, da. And that's another thing. That's another thing I won't get too deep in, but I find it interesting, because parents will do that to you. Like parents would do that to their children. Let's say one child is like super quote unquote standard of success, like they achieved corporate recognition or got all these accolades or got all these certifications and this, and they make this amount of money per year, right? And so they'll compare that with another child who is not like that. The other child just works at the grocery store and is perfectly happy living their life working at the grocery store, right? Like not trying to achieve nothing, not trying to like, climb the corporate ladder. But the parents will like pit the kids against each other and say, well, see, this kid is successful and this one isn't. Parents, we need to stop doing that. Like, why is this kid considered more successful half the damn time? Just from personal experience of meeting thousands of people like this, the people who have climbed the ladder are fucking miserable. No offense, not all of them. Some of them are successful and happy, in the terms of traditional success, meaning lots of money and recognition and all that societal stuff, right? But a lot of times, most of the time, these people are very miserable because they're overstimulated, overworked. They put all this time, effort, and energy, and they don't have any time or spaciousness to really get to know themselves on a deeper spiritual level, right? They don't really know what they want. They just followed the blueprint that they were given, and they didn't get a chance to really explore what their heart really wanted them to explore, right? And so there's nothing wrong with any chosen path, right? I'm not demonizing any one chosen path. I'm just saying that we as a human collective, we deem as successful, right? Like just as successful and just as valuable as some at a 9 to 5 in a corporate office. Like I don't see why one job or one thing is deemed more valuable than another. You know what I mean? And to have this whole idea or whole thought process to think that, oh, this job is less valuable to society, that's stupid, right? Like if someone was making me dinner, I would hope that they put all their love and care into that because that's going into my body, right? Like why would I think that someone who works at a restaurant, you know what I mean? So I just really think, or the people who pick up our trash, right? Like I have so much respect and every time I see the trash man, I always, wave and say hi, and I'm, thank you. But it's like I just think that we just have such warped visions or ideas of what we deem as success, and we need to open our minds to what success is. Success means whatever it means for that unique individual soul. Each soul came here for different things, and thank God we have souls who are happy and fulfilled doing normal, regular, degular lives, right? Otherwise, like a lot of stuff wouldn't get done on the planet, right? Like, imagine if everyone wanted to be a millionaire and everyone wanted to own a jet plane and everyone, like, who the heck would be working at the grocery stores? Who the heck would be, out in the fields picking our fruits and vegetables, right? Who the heck would be, picking up our trash? Like we need each and every member of society is valuable, right? And so we got to let go of these old, you know, colonialistic ideas of what success is, right? Right? And kind of reclaim our old ways of doing things, which is being connected to the earth, connected to one another, and doing things out of compassion and kindness and love and joy rather than feeling obligated to do other things or feeling, like you're a bad person because you haven't lived up to somebody else's standard is stupid, right? So, yeah, I think I'm done ranting. Feel free to share your thoughts and ideas in the comments. Be respectful and compassionate because if you're not, you will get blocked. Other than that, I hope you guys have a wonderful day. And as always, flow if it feels good and let go if it doesn't because you are divine. You're divine being. Your soul knows exactly what you come to